Yes,
Great.
started.
Так, добре. Повертаюся до
Well, getting back to our today's participants, I understand that we are almost at the equator. This project has been lasting for the whole year, and this kind of the peak water, also in terms of the temperature, and also in terms of all the impressions that we have gathered throughout this year. And this is why we have decided, from what you've seen, we previously had meetings that were so curiously supported by male speakers. And it happened so amazingly that our second half of the year, we're starting with the female presenters because we need to cross that yang to the yin. And I am very curious to present our today's colleague. Oh, I also need to start the recording. Just a second. Yeah, it is done. I want to present you my colleague. This is Polina Pavlova here with us. Our colleague, not, well, she is from our friendly medallion, from the processual psychotherapy. We have known each other for more than 10 years now, and she has a very large experience in approaches with different publics in therapeutic area, in non-therapeutic uh, ways like business, like social work. And now we have met again in this amazing project where Polina is teaching for the support groups of the Generation Project, and they're very inspiring. And I just did not have the right not to share those achievements, those most interesting findings in the method and in the project, and especially in the personality of the teacher, of the person that is presenting this method and the techniques of work. And this is why I invited Polina to our community, to our little circle. And today we will have such a possibility to dive deep into the transpersonal approach and to find some restoration, some resource, understanding of the previously known uh, basic internal and external reality, but from a larger scale. And now I would like to pass the floor to Polina. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening. You wanted to finish your thought as well, Katerina. Yes, yes. I am in this brief feeling of how it will happen today, because I know that outside of just theoretic and practical curiosity, there will be a possibility for some reflection-based exercises, something that will give a chance to feel on a personal experience, to personally experience the effectiveness of this method. And now I finally fully pass the floor to you, Polina. Thank you so much, Katya. I am happy to welcome everyone, and I'm grateful for this invitation. It is very valuable for me and also very touching, because an experience of being in a new field, to share my findings, my achievements, the knowledge that I possess. Today I will be having two parts, two sides of one medal, so it is said. about the external world, but what concerns us, and about more of an internal work that we can be conducting on our own, and how we can be supporting ourselves. Because if we are not supported, how can we even support our clients, our families, our friends? So these two parts will be in action. And I would like to say just few words about myself, about the approaches that I work in. My main approach is process-oriented work. It is also business approach and therapeutic approach. I have learned from Schubach, Max and Alan Schubach. They are very well known, widely known facilitators. They have the Institute of the Profound Democracy in Portland, and those two sides of modality, Armin Mindell and Schubach, that unfortunately has recently passed. Gone to a different dimension, but we were just so lucky to have him with us for such a long time. And another approach that I work in is trauma therapy, trauma therapy of early childhood trauma. I'm also using the methods of brain spotting, of the bodily therapy. I was starting with bodily therapy, and in my individual therapy, personal therapy, I was also in corporeal or in the bodily therapy because I just could not feel or experience it. Let's start. And I would like to start from a quick bodily exercise in order to give you some resource from the beginning. Right now, if it is comfortable for you, please place your feet on the floor in order to feel them. You can even tap your heels to the ground, to the soil behind your feet, and do a few inhales and exhales, very conscious ones, starting from the points of your toes until the very top of your head, and then all the way down back to your toes. This is in order to get um, in the right uh, state. Just feel the space, the place that you sit on. Perceive and become aware of your state. Maybe something is bothering you, is making you worried. Maybe something gets your attention on the level of your feeling. Give you some space for that. And now pick two of your palms of your hands. Two of them, you can do it like that as I'm showing you. For those who can see me, you can even close your eyes and just feel which part of your body they want to be placed at. And place the palms of your hands there. Do not hit yourself, do not press into yourself, just feel yourself. It's very important to feel where the palms of your hand want to go, not where the body wants to have them, but where the palms want to go. And just place the palms of your hands there. Place them and target, direct your attention to that part of your body, area of your body, that the palms of your hands are lying upon. And just be there with your consciousness and your attention. What is happening with your body? How is it reacting onto this contact with the palms of your hands? Is there any feedback? Even if there is no feedback, do not hurry up to remove the palms of your hands. Give yourself time. Give the time to your body. Give yourself some more time. For example, I have placed my palms of my hands on the bottom of my belly, and I am not feeling any feedback in there, but I am noticing that my body has started feeling more deeply. And this is one of the forms of the feedback for me. And I am also feeling how my feet are becoming more stable. Let's give 10 more seconds in order to be with the body. And afterwards, if you will feel such a need, you can keep the palm of your hand where they are for an additional time to just be there. But if you feel the need to remove them, you are good to remove them and just notice how your body is reacting onto the palms of your hands being removed. This was a brief exercise, and I would like to ask you, maybe someone would like to share maybe a few ideas that came to you. Maybe you would like to share the result of this exercise. Maybe for someone, this exercise did not work out at all. This is also a possibility. And it is not obligatory for you to say it out loud. You can also write it down in the chat and then we will read it out loud for you. Is there anyone who would like to say something? Okay, in that case, let's stay with our body and I will give you some bits of theory that back at its time, well, I cannot say turn my world upside down, but definitely enriched my world. And for more than 20 years, I am living in contact with this knowledge. I am utilizing it daily in my life. I would like to share information about process-oriented approach and about main basic fundamentals of the process-oriented approach. And one of such uh, fundamental is the fundamental of the deep democracy. We all know about democracy, how it is, how it functions. Thus, democracy is the majority of votes. When there is a majority, it is being known as um, democracy. Means that the majority chose their path, and the society is trying to live in the process of this choice. However, it is very well understood if there is a majority, there is definitely a minority, and the minority is kind of being left outside. They're getting marginalized. They do not have space for themselves because someone won and someone lost. And what is happening in society when the minority is losing? And this is something that we can observe every single day, especially after the elections, that the minority is trying to become the majority, is trying to fight, is trying to get the right of the majority to themselves. And on one hand, this is a good thing because our life is a constant fight, and on the other, every minute, every hour, someone is staying unsatisfied. Someone is satisfied, and someone is being kept unsatisfied. And those positions, those roles, they change all the time. They reverse all the time, from time to time. And the principle of deep democracy speaks about the fact that all the voices are extremely important. And there is a need to take into account all the voices. And this is something that becomes a problem because it starts looking like a very deep, harsh work to be able to hear everyone and find a solution that will suit everyone. This is very tough, and for some people it seems impossible. However, for many years, deep democracy is proving that it is possible. Is proving through the processes, through those group processes that are taking place all over the world by Arnold Mindell and his students, by the Schubachs. They prove that there is a way to find the point that will suit everyone. And if we go back many, not only years, but even centuries back, Buddha was talking about this middle path to go from one polarity into the middle path. And Buddhism speaks about us to separate ourselves from it and that we will find that middle path. And deep democracy says that we need to take everything into account and looking into everything and finding that middle path by taking into account the voices of everyone. And deep democracy also speaks about how everything that is in the world is something that belongs to us. I am this world. and I have everything that there is in the world, and there there is everything in the world that I have. World has everything that is in me. And deep democracy works on finding all of those roles, voices, internal ones, trying to work with them as if they were external. And in this moment, such a magic takes place because when one person or a group of people start working with their internal process, with the group process, and they find this middle point, magic is that at some point in the world, that point starts developing itself in the world. And before that, that point did not exist in the world. And there is such a thing as uh, group process and group work. And deep democracy helps to make those sides of the conflict meet, majority and minority of the voices, and meet and face that exit, that point that would unite them all. And at the very beginning, when the process starts, that point does not exist. But when it's over, you can achieve it, you can find it. Not always. There are certain processes, certain conflicts where such a deep, profound depth, um, in order to dive deep into it, it will require a lot of time, maybe even years. And within the principle of the deep democracy, as I've said, everything is important. The voices and all the creatures that exist on Earth, and all the people and all the dimensions and all the roles. And deep democracy speaks about few dimensions that we simultaneously live in. And those dimensions, I believe that you, as colleagues, are well familiar with those dimensions, but maybe deep democracy just calls them different names. And I will be using those terms that deep democracy is using. And the first dimension, level, you can also call it a level, not only a dimension. This is the dimension where which we are all very well familiar about, the level of consensual reality. This is the dimension of what we can see, of what we can measure, our material world. All of it is consensual reality. Everything that we can see, that we can measure, that we can touch. And reach a consensus on the level of the group. For example, when we see a floor, a table, a standard table, no one can really call it a chair or a sofa. Maybe there will be some disagreements upon the color, different opinions about the color of that table in question, but everyone will agree that this is a table. That on the banking account, everyone has a certain amount of money, and every single person can say, well, I have that much money, not more nor less, that much money, because this is what my bank account statement says. Of course, it can grow, of course, it can get smaller, but that level of money. Speaking about money, it's also about the level of consensual reality. Someone grew their wealth and someone maybe got less money, the amount of their wealth went down. And this is level of consensual reality. And here I will be bringing some examples of money because this is more of my, is something that is more understandable for me. Because I forgot to mention that for more than 16 years, I've been working with the psychology of money. And this is why this topic is very close for me, and I will be giving such examples. On the level, on the consensual level, everything is clear. There is a next dimension, next level, and this is the level of feeling, of senses. This is a level. Oh, I'm really, really sorry. I will get back to a previous dimension that got missed. And so, speaking about this dimension, this level where different roles exist at. This is the level that we cannot catch it. It is unclear for everyone. It is more individual. What I feel, no one else is feeling. For example, the person. There are a lot of examples like so in Ukraine, a person who lost their loved one. We can um, we can worry for them, but we can share with them certain things, but external people cannot experience what that person is experiencing. External people who never knew that person who left this world, they can only be they only try to share, and army always called it the dreamland, the level of dreams. We cannot transmit it to anyone. We can try to do so, we can try to feel that compassion. When I'm working with my clients, yes, we are worrying, we are being compassionate, but we cannot 100% feel what the client is experiencing, because maybe it's good because we need to work with the client and not only feel what's inside them. We touch them, we feel, but not at the 100% level. And this is the level that is influencing our life. So we can try to be, once again, I will be giving you more examples of money because they're more neutral in a way. For example, somebody might be trying to be wealthy, making a lot of money, working a lot, but facing the situation that money are disappearing somewhere, or jobs are being lost, or money that are being earned, they disappear. Maybe they were stolen. Maybe you had to pay for a surgery or give them to someone. So money, they are part of the non-consensual level. On the consensual level, we can operate with them, but they are being managed on a non-consensual, being managed by our feelings. And this is what I am working with my clients. When client comes to me with a request about money, we're not working about the money, we're working about feelings and states and what is connected for the client with money. For example, there are few emotions that cover our, basically cover the flow of money. Are fear, anger, and guilt. When we deeply experience fear and anger, the uncontrollable one, we are deep in guilt. In that case, it will be really tough for us to be with money. It will be hard to control them, and it will be hard to be in lightness with them. And money are energy. And it's being said that this is energy of love that is being impersonated in reality, and we easily, lightly um, contact with money. I'm not saying behave with money, but kind of contact. money, because if we behave too lightheartedly with money, then we will be pushing them away. But quantity, right? Easily spending, easily receiving, easily saving, then money will be feeling good with us. And contact with money is being resolved on the level of dreams, what my relationship with money is, and how can I live with them, and how can I function with them. And there is another dimension, the third dimension. Oh, and I also wanted to add that those two dimensions, the consensual level and also the dreamland level, this is where the conflicts arise. Conflicts never arise on the consensual level. On level of consensus, they implement themselves, they develop themselves, but on the level of dreams, they arise. Those conflicts form and arise. And within us, there might be different conflicts. For example, getting back to the example of money, when you want money, when you want to earn a lot, and this is one side, and the other side is that we want to have a lot of rest, not to be responsible about anything, and just live the life. Lie down underneath a palm tree and eat bananas, like it is in the song. And on this conflict, we can be losing a lot of resource. And it might not let us to have rest and not let us to go and earn those big money. Not necessarily big money, but those money that we want. And on the level of this conflict, without its resolution, we will be kind of pulling and pushing. We will be constantly exhausted and unsatisfied. And this is why the democracy and group processes uh, that are being conducted, they give space for those conflict roles, for them to be, for them to find uh, that golden middle. And the third dimension, Arnie Mindell called it essence level. It's in English, essence level. It's the level of essence. This is the level of depth. I would say that this is the level of the u of the universe, of the cosmos, of the space, of energy, the level where there are no polarities. This is the level at which there is everything, all of those roles, all different kind of um, lines of life. On this level, uh, there is Polina who is wealthy, and there is Polina who's not doing anything and just sits under the palm tree and eats bananas. But there is no conflict between the roles. And while working with the client within group processes, in order to reach that consensus, that new capacity, new quality through the tuning, through the instruments. We go onto that level in order to get that gold, those pearls that are lying there. And that level, we can experience it. It is also well familiar to you when there is this feeling of unity. That feeling of unity is there. It develops itself. For example, at the very early morning, at dawn, and at the sunset. Even the birds are not singing at that hour. And very often we've been to India, and sunsets there are in the sea. And when we were coming to the uh, seaside, there were many people, and everyone was watching those sunsets. And every time it was different. And it was possible to catch that essence level, that feeling that there is nothing physical, there is no physical, there is something that unites. And we have become, all of us have become that sun or that feeling of observation and admiration. And those three levels, they exist in our life every day. And it becomes difficult when we give more attention to only one of those levels. And this is why it is important to spread your attention more evenly, like 33% to each level, and then that 1% is for the transition from one level to another. And what will it give us? It will give us the widening, the enlargement, the enhancement when we meet when we face a problem or a situation or a decision that we need to make, in order not to only make it from our head, but also from the feelings, make the decision from a more profound level. For that, we need knowledge of those three dimensions. For example, business is subconsciously using that level of dreams and of essence, because all the ideas, they come from the level of essence, because this is where they read. And they start, let's say, flirting with us. That flirt with us starts on the dream level, and all of those dreams, all of those new ways and approaches that exist in fashion or in technology, they are already here. And we can dive a little deeper in there if we will have such intention and such um, capacity to look into that, behind that future of what will be. And once there was an example, just yesterday we talked about that with Katya. With Katya, it was back in 2010, right, Katya? And we were conducting the experimental groups in the process based approach, and we were in a this process based approach. And one of the weeks, we decided to have a look at the tendencies of where the business will go, to which direction, how the business will look in few years. And we looked into that, and we have seen that business will be meditating, mm, business will be more spiritual. And at that point, it was really hard to believe that, because at that moment, I was working in business consulting a lot. I was consulting a lot of the business owners, and I was saying it is impossible. It will never happen that fast, because they only work with their head. They're making strategic plans for 10 years. 2 years have passed, and businessmen started coming to us and saying, "Oh, I'm doing yoga. I started meditating. Oh, I want to go with you to India." So that tendency is, or has already implemented itself, realized. And I'm giving those examples for it to be a bit more clear. I don't know how am I managing to um, present my thoughts and how interesting it is for you. Maybe someone would like to ask something. Thank you so much for your reaction, for your feedback. Maybe there are some questions, maybe some clarifications that you would like to ask for. I would be very happy to answer. I would like to ask, I'm really, really sorry, my name is Natalia. I will not be able to start to turn off my camera because I have some electricity issues. Maybe at the very end you can say what have you read on this topic or watched maybe some training, maybe some course? This is what interests me. And whether you take people into work or whether you consult people, like, do you take new clients? Yes, I can hear that, Natalia. Yes, sir. I have two requests, basically the training and the client part. Okay, let me answer as we go because I might forget it later. What can be read? Actually, there are a lot of things to be read because thanks to God, Armin Mindell, he was very productive and he wrote a lot of interesting books. And they are available in translation in the open source. Many of those were translated into Ukrainian, have already been translated into Ukraine, also into Russian, and of course there are a lot of materials in English. You just type in Google Armin Mindell books, and there will be a lot of them, and it will be extremely interesting to read them. I cannot say what to start with. What will speak to you is the one that you should start with. It's not a head level choice, but feeling level choice, whatever will be found. And where you can learn. Currently, you can learn process-based approach. We have in Ukraine Institute of Process-Based Approach. Um, they conduct courses there. There are those projects. Katya, can I talk about regeneration? Yes, of course, you're welcome. There is regeneration project. Um, it's a very resolutive project that was organized by my colleague and a friend, Yaroslava Kotmironova. Um, and currently, this project has grown, and this project is adjusted to teaching those methods, quick methods of work with trauma in process-based approach for psychologists and psychotherapists. And those students, they can immediately they get groups that they can work with and transmit those knowledges. This is a charitable project that takes care of both psychologists for them to receive not only knowledge but also to get paid. And it also takes care of women of Ukraine for them to receive support and not to be wasting the money that they might not even have. Project Regeneration in Yucata will later present this. Um, I will add few more things because as you get more familiar with the method and integrating it into practice, we have already planned a meeting with Yaroslava, with the author of this regeneration project, so that method will unfold itself even deeper. There will be a lot of curious moments. We'll start. Yes, that field is already united, getting united. And answering your second question, yes, of course, Natalia, I take people as clients. There are always open spots. We can always find a spot for you. Well, and we are good to continue, right? Or do we have another question? I have seen that someone wrote something in the chat, or yeah, thank you for the practice. Well, it's from Natalia. You're welcome. I'm really, really sorry. I am in regeneration project. I was as a client. I went through it all, and I think that I want to say that it was very effective. There were not that many girls that came to finish, but those practices as an instrument, they were extremely valuable, and maybe a lot of things were marked for me because I know which part of the body should be touched. It's very deep and profound with preparation, a lot of basis. If you ask a question, you receive a full-blown answer because there were girls who came not from this profession. So yeah, it was really interesting. I just kind of wanted to give you this kind of feedback that this program, regeneration, for those who will have a possibility to take part in it, I highly recommend it. See, regeneration kind of caught me back, and now I want to train. So we kind of caught one another. Yes, yes. You met again. Thank you, Natalia, for sharing it. This is very valuable and supportive, and you will also have a possibility to take part in this program in as a psychologist, as a therapist, and to train. And another thing, I told you that I have those two sides of the medal. For those who are mostly interested in group processes, who want to participate in them, my colleague from the Institute of Democracy, from Max and Ellen Schubach, they also have um, a representation, and each 2 weeks they conduct group processes that can be joined. I believe that Katya will send you the link for them. Yes, yes, of course. And this is very, very curious. Mhm. And if there are no more questions, I would suggest, I have missed that, but on this level, the level of consensus, what is also really important, what attention should be brought to, there are ranks. And through ranks, a lot of conflicts come up. When person feels their rank, they start using it, and they use them not always in a heritative way. They use it for use. But ranks, they are needed for us to use them for ourselves, but not to um, cross the borders of other people. And this is a very special topic that we need to look into for ourselves and in the contact with someone else, especially when we work in partnership. And what are those ranks? I will give you an example. Ranks can be social, can be psychological, can be spiritual. Social rank, as for example, mother. If a female has children, her rank is higher than of that woman who doesn't have children, and the woman having 6 children has a higher rank comparing to a woman who has 2 kids. But it doesn't mean that you should be kind of lifting your nose and being proud of it, but kind of using it for your life. For example, there is such an example. It is very simple, but try to use it in practice and you will understand how it simplifies your life. There is a rank of the streetwalker. When you cross the road, what happens? What do we do? We're always in a hurry. We very rarely utilize our rank. We do not go as it is comfortable for us because we're in a hurry. We do not want to create any trouble for anyone. We don't want the driver to wait for us. Yeah, we can do it that way as well. But sometimes it becomes really hard for us. Sometimes I'm exhausted and I cannot run. Um, and I am walking in my tempo, in my speed, and this is the moment when I'm utilizing my rank. On the inside, I can say I'm sorry for making you wait, but but externally, I'm saying I have the right to walk as fast as I do. And features, those little things, there are many of those. For example, sometimes I work with the business owners. There are those business owners that do not use their rank. They're so caring for their employees that it's like in the anecdote. Question to the driver, what do you want me to do for you? Why are you so sad? And driver says, I want you to drive me. So the rank is not being utilized at all. And this is where the respect is being lost. But other people are overusing it. And this is when someone around them starts suffering, and whole nations might suffer when those people who rule are using their ranks not to serve people, but to serve their own ego. That was quite a big topic. For each phrase, for each sentence, we can make a separate 3-day seminar and work with it and work through it. And that's what we've been doing and studying for years. And but this is very curious. This is a path that gives more taste, like that. And now I will suggest you to work through on practice some conflict. Take some kind of conflict. I've been talking about conflict, but about the internal ones, because today we're talking about resources. So an internal conflict that you feel within yourself. For example, that conflict that I have named. You want more money, but you don't really, and you want to make more, but you do not want to take more responsibility and get under too much pressure. So please don't take those internal conflicts, inner conflicts that are very burning for you. Why? Because I will just not have the possibility to support you sufficiently. But if you address them now, I will support you somehow, but not in a 100% way. This is why I suggest you to adjust onto the exercise. Give yourself a minute. Mhm. Feel your feet once again. And observe yourself. Watch yourself just a little. What is bothering you recently? Those internal processes. Maybe some desire conflicts. And I will be also showing you this on my example. I will take the example that I brought earlier, that you want a lot of money, but some part of you wants to invest a lot of creativity, work a lot, and the other side of you doesn't really want to do that, and kind of in this heat just wants to lie down and do nothing, just swim in the sea. And now, when you have felt that conflict, you found those two conflicting roles, take one role and let's watch it. Let's observe it. And I will take the role that says that they want some ex want to expand, they want more art, more creativity, they want to implement that idea, that project they have. And when I am giving space to that role, what am I feeling? How my body starts leaving? What do I pay attention to? For example, when I give space to that role that wants to stand up and go implement that project, which idea already exists, I feel a lot of inspiration and my body kind of opens up. And I want to feel, I want to move forward like that. And when give yourself space to experience that role with your body, to feel it. And when you will feel that the role got enough space, make a gesture with one of your hands that would have been communicating, transmitting that feeling, that state. For example, inspiration, and I want to do like that, a gesture like that with my hand. Mhm. Mm. And do it like that. Who has what kind of gesture? Make that gesture. Adjust to it. And do it as much as you need. Mhm. And then put your hand to the side that you've been using it, that you've been using, and don't use it for a while. Mhm. And put this roll to the side as well. And now give more space to a different role, to a contrasting role that wants something different. And what feelings come up in your body when you give space to a different role? Once again, on my example, when I give more space to the role that says, I don't want to become more tense, I don't want extra responsibility, I just want to rest, I just want to be here and now. And just give myself an opportunity not to think about anything, not to promise anything to anyone. And at this moment, I feel how my body calms down, relaxes. I want to sit down a bit more comfortably. And when you will feel that you sufficiently got into that state of that role, of this, from this state, make a movement with a different hand, a movement that would have been transmitting the experience of those feelings, of that state. I'm currently thinking about how I feel about the gesture that I don't really want to move much. A gesture like that. If during the previous movement both of my hands took part, but now I want to move my feet. Oh, in that case, you can do that as well. This exercise normally works with the two hands. However, it's fine to use different parts of your body. If it worked like that, then it worked like that for you. Just use your feet. I just did not hear that it was just about hands. No, don't worry. It's about creativity. It means that this is what your body wants. And now, when you have two movements, two gestures, two states that you gave yourself an opportunity to experience a little bit. And now, remember the first movement and start doing it. And join the second movement. They will not be synchronized. They will not be working simultaneously. And that is fine at the very beginning, right? One hand will be doing this and the other hand will be doing that. And further, the task for our body is to let go of the head and give the body to both of our hands the possibilities to find some third kind of movement that would be embodying both of the movements, both of the hands. So now I am doing this. And this is what happens for me. As if there were two movements, two gestures at once, but they are synchronized. And move until you will find that ideal movement, ideal gesture, where both hands will be comfortable and your body will be comfortable and you will be comfortable in. I'm doing that. And now I have, in some sense, see, my hands are doing that kind of dance. I end up with a dance. And I want to invite my body to this movement as well. And for you, Natalia, it's the same, but not just two hands, but two hands and two legs. Your hands and your feet. Mhm. And I'm doing that. And at a certain moment, I feel it as paws of a cat who is moving that slowly. And now it becomes comfortable for me. And it is moving, the cat is moving, but slowly, gently, softly, and is not taking away the resources. And I became a cat with you, see? And what did you end up with? If you managed to do something, share that. And if you did not manage to do that, then please share it as well, and I might support you somehow. Give me some feedback. Maybe someone was not doing anything, was just observing. And how was it for you then? I would like to share. I joined at 7 and I did not really hear the task. However, I managed to hear about the second movement. And that second movement was something that I am lacking right now, that calmness, that calm. And when I was doing that, I felt that kind of liberty from those thoughts, from those states, from the external surrounding, some liberty, and it became easy, light for me, and I really enjoyed that feeling. That is really cool. I'm really, really happy for you. So you got exactly what you needed, and that is important. Thank you so much for sharing. Maybe there is someone else who would like to share. Uh-huh. Natalia wrote in the chat. I can see that. Uh-huh. In the palms of my hands, I could feel the energy, as if there were a lot of checks, and it seems that I got more power. I'm really happy. This is why we are here today, to get a little bit more resource. Good. I'm now suggesting to make a quick 5-minute break to kind of switch. And after the break, I will be giving a different topic about the internal resources and internal work. And we will do another exercise, a different exercise to get a little bit more resource. Agreed? So now it's 1910. So at 19:15, we are meeting back here. You do not need to exit the meeting. You can just turn off your microphone, you can drink some water, maybe walk a little bit. I agree. I just wanted to add it was a very profound exercise and it requires some time for processing in order to be able to kind of incorporate it even on the level of your body. So those 5 minutes are really important to incorporate. Good. So see you. See you.
Катюш, може зараз запис приостановити?
Да, зараз призупиню. Дякую.
Good. So maybe we stop the recording for a few minutes. Yes, absolutely. I will stop it for a few minutes.
Так. Бачу, що наші 5
I
хвилин ще.
can see that our 5 minutes have swiftly gone by.
Я продовжую запис.
And I will continue the recording now.
Добре. Добре. І ми зараз,
Good, good.
я сподіваюся, що
And now I
всі
hope
себе більш-менш
that
почувають.
everyone
І
feels
ми
rather
переходимо до
fine.
наступного
And now we
етапу.
are
І
moving
цей
to the
етап
next
про
stage. And that
спостереження
next
за
stage
внутрішнім
is more
світом.
about observation of the
Я
internal
розкажу трішки про
world.
внутрішню
I will
роботу.
tell you a little bit
А,
about this internal
тобто,
work
з точки зору такої
from the
процесуальної
point of
роботи. Я
view
розумію,
of the
що всі
process-based
тут з
work.
досвідом
I understand that everyone here has
всі знають,
experience
як
and
працювати,
everyone
як
knows
входити
how
в
to
внутрішні
work,
процеси.
how to
І
look into
ну,
the
я
internal
з точки
processes,
зору
but at the same time,
процесуального
from the
процесу,
point of view
може на
of the
щось на
process-based
чомусь
work, I
акцентувати
will
увагу.
tell you something and I might just bring some
За чим я
accents
спостерігаю
to your
і
attention. And this is something that I am observing since the beginning of the full-scale invasion. And this is something that existed even before within myself and within my colleagues. And I hope that it will be useful. I will give you another meditative exercise that I hope will give you even more resource. It will be a bit more profound than the previous one. Okay, so while the internal, the inner work, it envisions seeing yourself as you are with all of your roles, conflicts, with what is hidden. And this is truly not simple to do because for all of that you need resource. And at the very beginning of the full-scale invasion, I was listening to speakers and psychologists, very experienced ones from different approaches, and they said that it all depends of your inner resilience and how you can rely onto yourself, how you can incorporate that negative experience that we are facing. And this is why truly, first of all, those fundamentals of the thread line, it's about taking care of yourself, not trying to open yourself fully even in front of yourself, but step by step looking and allowing things to develop. For those things that I have resource for. And we all know that when we give space for something complicated and we can cope with it and we can transform it somehow, it already becomes our resource. It becomes the state of our inner growth from the trauma into our inner growth. And process-based work, process-oriented work, I like one of those main approaches. It's about primary and secondary processes. Before that, I was talking about the dimensions that exist, the consensual reality, the dream dimension, and the essence dimension. And now I would like to pay more attention, dedicate more attention to the primary and secondary processes. Primary process is everything that we identify with here and now. Here and now, I am conducting a lecture for you and giving you some practical tasks.
ідентифікую? Я
What
подумала,
I identify myself with. I'm Polina. I am a
а,
psychologist, a psychotherapist.
тобто це те, що я можу про себе
So this
сказати,
is
і те,
something
що
that
я
I
можу
can say about
представити,
myself and what
принаймні.
I can
Але
present,
є
what
якийсь
I
вторинний
can
процес, в якому я себе
publicly
не
announce. And there is
ідентифікую.
also a
І
secondary
це
process that
якісь
I do not identify with.
якісь
Those are some roles,
це
some.
те, чому я можу сказати, от на ту
This
підставі,
is
що
something
ось
that
це не
I
я,
can here and now
це не
say,
я.
this
І
is
можна
not
сказати,
me.
може і мені
Or I can
подобалося б
say,
цим бути,
maybe
але
I
це
would
точно не
like
я.
to be that,
Так?
but this is definitely not
А,
me.
Зараз ми працювали і була вправа,
Right
і
now, we
я
were
сказала,
working and there was an exercise,
відчуваюся,
and I
ніби
said that this is how
мишечка
I
дихатиме,
feel. I feel a
рухається.
cat that
І
is
ось це
moving that
уявився мій
slowly.
вторинний
And this
процес.
is my
Ну,
secondary
це
process
той процес,
that
яким я
showed
себе
itself,
не
that developed
ідентифікувала,
itself.
і про
This
який
was a
я
process that I was not
постійно
identifying myself with,
в тому
and
намагаюся
that
сказати,
an
ось
hour ago I
я
would have
така, це
said,
точно не я.
this is
Так? І
definitely
вдячна
not
за
me,
реалізацію
me walking
ідеї,
like
і що
that,
Поліна Півлівна це точно не
realizing
я.
that
І
idea that
зараз вже
Polina
так
is
не
a
зможу,
cat,
я
that
бачу,
is definitely
це
not
собі
me. Right
проривається.
now, I will not be able to
Тобто
say that
те,
anymore
що
because
у
I
нас
can see that
доброго
process
дня,
getting
можна
through,
сказати,
that process
для
breaching,
чого немає
and
місця,
undeveloped,
не
the
обов'язково
unrepresented,
те,
something
що
that
нас
there is no
лякає.
space for. And this
От
is
якась там Поліна
obligatorily
агресивна,
something
наприклад,
that
чи
scares us. For
Поліна
example, Polina being
безпомічна,
aggressive
так?
or Polina
Це
being helpless.
навіть є якісь такі круті
There are
якості,
also
які ми
those
з собою не
cool
ідентифікуємо, і ми не
characteristics
знаємо,
that
як
we
до них
do not
доторкнутися.
identify with and we
Розумієте?
do
І
not know how to
от
touch them.
на групах ми якраз
And
працюємо
at
з тим, щоб
groups, we
доторкнутися, з тим, щоб
specifically
відчути це.
work
Ви
with the
пам'ятаєте, я казала,
idea
я
of
буду
feeling that.
проводити
You remember
приклади
I
на
told you that
цьому, так?
there will be
Простіше,
examples
я
about
вмію
money
це
because
робити,
it will just be
більш
simpler for me like
ефективно, я
that,
б сказала.
and making
Скажімо,
it a bit safer
дуже
in
крихкому
this
полі, так, і
very
не хочеться
fragile
торкатися
field of ours. I do not really want to
лишній
touch
раз якимись такими деталями. Але от про гроші, якщо сказати, то
extra details.
от
And
коли
speaking
ми
about
працюємо
money, when we work
з
with
клієнтами
clients
про великі гроші, так?
about
І
big
тоді
money,
можна працювати про стан
this
людини,
is when we can work
які
about the
мають
state of people
гроші.
who
От,
have
і
big
якщо ви
money.
спостерігаєте за цими
And
людьми,
if you observe those
мільярдерами,
people,
вони
uh,
завжди такі
billionaires, they are
повільні,
always so
вони
slow.
рухаються
They
не
move
різко, так, вони
not
розмовляють
abruptly.
теж
They
спокійно,
talk
вони
calmly.
зважують свої дії,
They
свої
weight
слова.
all of their
І
actions, all of their
тоді
words,
ми
and then
працюємо над тим, щоб увійти
we
в
can
стан,
work
тобто
on
доторкнутися
getting
до
into
цього
that
стану
state,
і дати такому
touch
стану
that state, and
потрапити
allow
в
that state
наше поле.
to come
Пам'ятаєте,
into
я
our
казала,
field.
що в
You
принципі
remember
все те, що є в світі,
that in principle,
все те, що є
everything that there is in the world is in me, everything that
просто
is on the essence level
в
is in
якихось
me. But
частин світу
to
немає
some
доступу.
parts of me, I
От,
do not have
і
access.
от доступ ми
And
отримуємо,
that
коли
access, we get
доторкаємося
it
до чогось,
through touching
доторкаємося до якихось
something,
станів.
through touching
І
certain
тоді ми
states.
можемо цей стан
And
впустити в
this is
своє
when
життя.
we can allow
От.
that state to
І
enter
первинний,
our
вторинний процес
lives.
в цьому
The primary and the
дійсно
secondary
вони можуть
processes,
помінятися місцями. І
they
в
can
якийсь момент
switch places.
там
And
Поліна,
at
яка
some
була більш
moment, Polina,
йшла як танк,
that
і зробила
was
свій
moving like a
ідеї
tank
простими,
and
тихими
was
кроками, так?
implementing her
І це буде
ideas, will
по-іншому
start
вже.
walking and
А
moving
танк,
like
він
a
буде
cat.
витиснений.
And that will be
А в якийсь
different then,
момент
and the
мені
tank will be
знадобиться,
pushed
ну, якщо
away.
я
And at
танком маю на увазі,
certain
це мені
moments,
колись
I will
казали,
need
що
the
я така
energy of the
танк.
tank, because at some points of my life, I
В
was
якийсь
told that I'm
момент
like
він
a
за мною
tank.
буде витиснений,
And
а
at
потім
some
я зрозумію, що
moment,
мені не
the tank will be
вистачає
pushed
цієї
away, and then I
сили
might
танку,
realize
і
that that
ну,
force
такої
of the tank
енергії,
is
яка
something that is lacking for me, that energy that would help me to implement certain ideas, and then I would go back to that quality of the tank, and I will be bringing it back step by step. And what I'm talking about here, when we start moving within, when we allow certain processes to arrive, when we look into something, when we give space for it, then we start to make our internal system more flowy. We become more, maybe that's not the most beautiful word, but I am saying it from the good point of view. We are adjusting. We are adjusting to the conditions, not because we are forced to do that, but when on the inner level we will be adjusted to it, then it will be easier for us to adjust and to find that way that will be for our own good. So we will be receiving those that gold and those pearls from inside. And the first step starts from me sincerely looking inside myself and looking at what bothers me. And maybe I did not have energy for that. Looking and maybe trying to find the resource to try to face it, to dare to face it. And it might be a slow process, but it is very, very useful. And I just wanted to say that at the very beginning, when we were starting to do that, the first thing that we need to focus on is at uh, approaching ourselves with a lot of care. If I do not want to look at something, or if I'm saying, no, I do not want to look at that, not to be forcing yourself, but just accept it. If you do not want to look inside, that's fine. Maybe it means that you are lacking resource. And what is now is probably not in the agenda, and we need to wait. And this is about good, caritative approach to oneself. And if I gave space to something and I did not cope with it, I continue without blaming yourself, giving oneself more space. Fine, I did not cope now. I will cope the other time, or maybe something went wrong. So I understand that there are colleagues from different countries, but I will be talking about us, about Ukrainian culture. As a psychologist, I feel how inside of us there are a lot of criticism, of those critics who are blaming, who are taking care of us and also protecting us. And that knowledge, we need to hold it in our field, trying to be full of care towards oneself, and saying no to the critics and saying yes to our advocates, to those kind voices, even if their voices are so thin and are just starting to breach through. And inner work starts from us, as I previously mentioned, looking inside ourselves and talking through that processes that are inside. And if we get back to the primary and secondary processes, a very bright example of the secondary process is about clients who can not be talking about their inner processes. For them to talk about how they feel, what they feel, it is impossible, and this is a secondary process for them then. If you remember at the very beginning of the lecture, I said that I was starting from the body therapy because I could not say anything about myself. I did not understand what's inside me, but I just knew that I was feeling bad and there was a lot of helplessness. And I was going into body therapy. The body therapist was working with me. I did not even have to bring the request. And this is why those processes, they are shifting. And at some points, when client comes to us for 1, 2, 3 months, and they start healing, being aware of, understanding, and it means that client has already incorporated their secondary process, and this process is no more secondary, it has become primary. I hope that what I'm saying is clear, and if you have any questions, I will be ready to answer them now, and we can shift to the exercise. Maybe I have one clarification. Can we say that primary process is the conscious one, and the secondary one is the one is that we are not aware of, and through the body we can better feel it if we give space for it to get developed. It might also be a repressed process that we are not only not feeling, not knowing about, but we are also pushing it back because it scares us.
Да, зрозуміла.
God,
Так.
thank you. Thank you.
Чи є запитання, уточнення?
Are there any other questions, clarifications to be made?
Тоді ми
In this case,
перейдемо до вправи, так?
we will shift to the exercise so that it becomes more clear. I will now say that inner work
Вона починається, я ще наполягатиму,
starts,
з того,
and I will be
коли ми
insisting on it,
готові відкриватися і
from
готові
us being ready to open up and being honest with ourselves, ready to be honest and supportive towards oneself. In that case, we have a possibility to conduct inner work. And of course, it's clear that we always want to be calm, in a state of well-being, be balanced. Especially, it seems to me, for us as psychologists, because we as psychologists, when we work with clients, we already have that sharpened state. But in life, when we face certain states, when somebody hits us, when something hits us, and it's really uncomfortable for us, and we just want to get back to that state of balance, of equilibrium, and we want to tell oneself that I know how to be in a balance, but that disbalance just requires my attention, and maybe there is something that I need to look at, and maybe further on it will give me more resource. And when we adjust our system like that, then it will be way easier for us to live in that world that is constantly changing and is constantly bothering us. Especially during the recent years, there is no way to breathe in, breathe out. Something is always happening. And that way, we will be working more through that well-being, through that resistance, through those inner reliances, despite everything that is happening around us. I believe that I've said everything that I wanted to say from the theoretical point of view, and now from the practical point of view, we will get a little deeper. We will take something that's on the inside, that's inviting us, and maybe some painful
якщо
state
не хочеться звернути
that
увагу
we
на
do not
себе,
really
але
want
зараз ми можемо на це
pay attention
подивитися.
to,
І
but right now we can
я
have a look
програємося,
into
це
that,
буде як
and I will
медитація.
guide you through that. It will be like a
І
practice, like
сподіваюся, що ви
meditation, and
отримаєте
I
ресурс
hope
і
that you will
отримаєте
get the
полегшення.
resource and it will get
Так що,
easier for
якщо
you.
готові, можемо починати, так?
So, if you're ready, we can start.
Добре, знову давайте ми
Good.
сядемо зручно, відчуйте
Let's
свої
sit
стопи.
down comfortably and feel our feet.
Знову зверніть увагу на дихання.
Pay attention once again to your breathing,
На дихання таке, яке воно є. Не
to the
намагайтеся
breathing
його
as it is.
поглибити
Do not try to make it any deeper
чи змінити, просто яке
or
воно
to
є.
change it, just at the breathing as
Просто
it is.
відмітьте для себе. От в мене
Just
зараз
notice it for
таке
yourself.
дихання.
Make a note for yourself. My breathing right now is at the surface. I am not breathing
Чи
that
я
profoundly.
намагаюся вдихнути
Or
дуже,
maybe
дуже
I am
легко.
trying to breathe in,
Просто
to
зверніть на це
inhale,
увагу.
but it's really tough for me. Just pay attention to it.
І зараз дозвольте собі
And
трішечки
now
заглибитися всередину себе.
allow yourself to get deeper inside you
І зустрітися там з чимось, що
and
пригортає
meet
вашу
with
увагу.
something that will bring your attention.
Може, якесь таке відчуття
Maybe
неприємне,
some kind of
якась емоція.
unpleasant feeling, maybe some kind of emotion.
Просто дайте собі
Just allow yourself,
на це дивитися і дайте
just
цьому
let
місце.
yourself look at it and give space to it.
Може, ви пригадаєте якусь
Maybe you
нещодавню
will
неприємну
remember
ситуацію, яка
some recent unpleasant
вас бентежила,
situation that has bothered you
чи яка порушила ваш
or
спокій.
that has disturbed your calm.
Просто пригадайте про це
Just remember
і
it
зверніть увагу,
and
які
bring
відчуття
your attention to the feelings that
стосовно
are
цієї
coming up
ситуації.
concerning the situation
І де в тілі виникають ці
and
відчуття.
where in the body those feelings arise.
І просто зверніть туди свою
And
увагу,
just bring
на
your attention
цю
there
ділянку тіла, там, де
to that
виникають ці
area of
відчуття.
the body
І
where those feelings
спостерігайте за цими
arise
відчуттями.
and
Більше
just
нічого не треба
watch
робити,
those
не треба
feelings,
пригадувати.
those senses. You don't need to do anything extra. You don't need to remember anything extra about that situation.
Просто спостерігайте за відчуттями,
Just
де б вони не були. Це
observe
в
that
руках, ногах,
that
голові,
those feelings
чи в
whenever
животі.
wherever they are in your body, maybe in your feet, in your arms, in your stomach, anywhere.
Що з вашими відчуттями, коли ви просто за
What
ними
is happening
спостерігаєте
with your
внутрішнім поглядом?
feelings when you just observe them with inner sight?
Може, вони збільшуються, може, підсилюються, може,
Maybe
вони
they are
зміцнюються.
enhancing, maybe they are transforming somehow.
Не намагайтеся нічого робити, просто спостерігайте. Давайте можливість вашому тілу впоратися з цими відчуттями.
Do not try to do anything. Just give your body
Воно
a
прямо
chance
зараз
to
відчуває вашу
cope with them,
підтримку,
because your body is currently
відчуває,
feeling,
що воно має
experiencing your
допомогу,
support,
знаходитися.
feeling that you are not on your own. You are in the field.
Зараз поверніться
Now,
до ваших
go
думок,
back
поміркуйте про те,
to your
могло бути
thoughts,
протилежним відчуттям отому
but just
відчуттю, яке ви зараз відчуваєте,
consider what
на
could
якому
be
зараз були
a
зосереджені.
a different feeling to the feeling that you have
Бути
just
протилежною
experienced.
якістю.
What can be the contrary quality to it?
Яке відчуття?
What feeling?
Наприклад, відчуття спокою,
For
чи
example, the
розслабленості,
feeling of calmness or of relaxation or the feeling of lightness.
І зараз уявіть,
And now imagine
коли ви усвідомите, що це за протилежне
when you
відчуття,
will become aware of that contrasting
уявіть
feeling,
якесь природне
quality.
місце на нашій
Imagine
землі.
some
Воно може бути
natural
будь-яким. Може бути
space on
те,
our
що ви
earth. It
бачите.
might be an imaginary one or something that you have previously
Місце,
seen.
яке
Just
втілювало в собі
imagine
оце
that
відчуття,
natural
проявлення цього відчуття,
space that would be
цю енергію,
incorporating that feeling, that calmness, that relaxation.
Як виглядає це природне місце?
How does that natural place look? How is it?
Може, це якась лужайка, може,
Maybe it's some
місточок,
kind of
якесь озеро, чи берег моря.
grass, or maybe a seaside, or maybe a bridge.
Коли ви вже
When
уявили це природне
you
місце,
have already imagined that
а зараз
imaginary
попрошу вас зробити
place, I
незвичайне
will
для себе.
ask you to maybe do
Просто
a
станьте
strange,
там
unusual thing for you. Just stand
і
into
уявіть,
that
що ви
space,
є
into
це
that
озеро,
place. Just imagine that you are
ця
that
лужайка.
lake or that lawn or
І якийсь час просто побудьте цим
and for
місцем.
some time just be that place.
Дайте собі таку можливість.
Give yourself that possibility.
І коли ви відчуєте, що ви так
And
добре
when you will
втілилися в це
feel
місце,
that you
в
have
це місце,
well incorporated in that place, you have become
подивіться
that
на
place.
себе зі
Have a
сторони,
look at
на того,
yourself
хто сидить
from
зараз
the side, at the person
перед
who's
комп'ютером,
sitting
перед екраном.
there in front
Подивіться
of
на
the
себе зі
screen.
сторони
look at yourself from
з
the
позиції
side,
цього місця
from the
природного.
position of that natural place.
І подивіться і дайте рекомендацію.
Have a look and
Відчуйте,
give
як
a
ви можете
recommendation or feel
підтримати
how you can support
себе, що ви можете зробити,
yourself, what you
щоб
can do
відчути
in
більше
order
ресурсу.
to feel more resource.
Перше, що вам приходить, навіть те,
The
що
first thing that comes to
здається
you,
нереальним,
even something that
неможливим, якийсь
seems surreal,
несвідомий,
impossible,
просто
or like some
запам'ятайте це
bullshit.
послання,
Just remember
рекомендацію.
that message, that recommendation.
І коли ви відчули цю
And
рекомендацію,
when
це послання,
you have felt and heard that
знову
recommendation, that
створюйте
message,
контакти з цим
once
місцем,
again, stay in contact with that natural place.
і потихесеньку повертайтеся до
And
себе, до
slowly
свого тіла.
start coming back to yourself, to your body.
Коли ви повертаєтеся,
When you are returning,
усвідомте, де все ж таки в вашому тілі
become
живе
aware
відчуття
of
цього
where
природного
in
місця.
your body that
Ніби ви
feeling of that
повернулися
natural
до
place
природного місця,
exists,
але воно десь
as
в
if
тілі
you have
залишається
returned
це
from that
відчуття,
natural place,
відчуття
uh,
цього озера,
and that
цієї
feeling
поляни.
of that place, of that lake or that lawn still is in your body.
Зосередьте
And just
декілька
concentrate
хвилин на цьому свою увагу,
few
на своєму
minutes
тілі, на
of
своєму
your
відчутті.
attention on your body, on that feeling.
Відчутті, яке приносить
The
легкість,
feeling that
розслаблення.
brings you lightness or calmness or easiness or relaxation.
І з цього відчуття спокою чи
And from that
легкості чи
feeling
розслаблення,
of
що те, що вам
calmness or
прийшло з цього
relaxation or
ресурсного місця,
easiness, from that
знову
resourceful
поверніться
place,
до того місця в
come
тілі,
back
з якого
to that place in your
починали,
body that you have started
там, де
from,
ви відчували дискомфорт.
where you have felt discomfort.
І зараз усвідомте, відчуйте, що
And now consider, feel, become aware of what have changed in there,
що змінилося в цьому відчутті,
what
в
have
цих
changed
відчуттях.
in that feeling or in those feelings.
І коли ви відчуєте,
And
усвідомите,
when you
знову
will feel,
поверніться
you
до
will
цього
become
ресурсного
aware,
місця в
come back
тілі,
to
там,
that
де живе
resourceful
оце
place in
природнє
your
місце.
body, where that natural place lives.
Тепер у вас є
And
ще
now
такий ресурс,
you have
це відчуття цього
another
природного
resource,
місця,
that
цього
feeling
образу.
of that natural
Спеціально,
place,
якщо до вас
its image,
прийшло щось, ви
its
можете
message. If
згадати
something came to
ці
you, you can
відчуття
remember that. And the
цього,
feeling
цієї
of
якості,
that quality,
ресурсної якості, яка
of
тепер живе
that
в тілі.
resourceful quality that now
Можете
lives
навіть
in your body.
покласти руку,
You can even
більше
put your
відчути це.
hand there to better feel it.
Дати можливість тілу більше інтегрувати
Give the body the
цю
possibility
якість,
to better
цей ресурс.
incorporate that quality, that resource.
А ми потихеньку будемо закінчувати. закінчувати.
And we will slowly start
Відчуйте
wrapping up.
знову свої стопи.
Feel your feet once
Чуйте
again.
місце, на якому ви сидите.
Feel that spot that you sit on.
І зараз, коли ви
And
повертаєтеся
now,
на
when
екрані,
you come back to the screen, back to the
почувствуйте,
group,
як змінився ваш стан,
just become aware of your state,
чи щось
or
перенеслося, щось ви отримали.
whether something got in, whether you have
Може,
received
хтось хоче
something,
поділитися
and maybe someone would like to share
своїм станом, надбанням, чи хтось
your
хоче отримати
states
підтримку.
or your achievements, or maybe you would like to receive some kind of support. Go ahead.
Мгм. Дякую, Наталя.
Mhm. Thank you, Natalia,
За зворотній зв'язок. Мгм.
for the
Дякую,
feedback.
Катя. За
Thank you,
сердечко.
Katya,
Мгм.
for the hearts. Thank you.
Мгм. Мгм. О, Наталя
Mhm.
написала, я зелена трава.
Natalia wrote, I am green grass.
Мгм.
Mhm.
Ще друга Наталя написала, дякую за
And the
практику.
second
Не хотіла
Natalia
швидко
wrote,
відповідати, але
thank you for
повернутися
the
до
practice. I
практики
really did not
дійсно
want
була
to
для
get
мене
back, but
усвідомлення
the whole
своєї
practice that
практики
returned
навіть два.
was very
Дуже рада,
resourceful for me.
дуже рада.
I am really happy about that. Really happy.
Мгм.
Mhm.
Так. Дякую, що ділитеся. Мгм.
Thank you for sharing. This is really important.
Мгм. Я колись усвідомила для себе, що
At
для мене
some
так
point,
один
I
із
realized
базових
for
способів
myself that one of the basic senses
це радість від того, що
is
я
happiness
комусь
from
допомогла, і хтось отримав результат.
me helping someone
Коли ви
and
ділитеся,
someone receiving that
я знаю,
positive
першим
result.
своїм
So what
серцем.
you're sharing, I'm once again
Я
getting that
дуже
sense.
дякую
I am very
за
grateful to you
ваш час,
for your time,
віру.
for your
Дякую,
trust.
Катя, що запросила.
Thank you, Katya, for
Зараз мені
invitation.
ще під впливом цього стану
Now it
знаходжусь.
feels that I'm still under the
Так,
influence of that
трошки
state.
неадекватно для завершення.
You know,
Але
maybe I'm a bit
десь
inadequate
цікаво
now to be
усвідомити,
wrapping it up,
можу поділитися,
but
що
it's a
один
curious
стан він
finding.
підтримляв чи
I can
ставлений
share that
якомусь
one
місту, а саме
state
одне й те саме
was
місто, але
answering
місце, але в різні
not
сезони.
about a place,
Ну,
it's the same
я
place,
була
but in
зима, така
different
зима, дуже дуже
seasons,
холодно і
which
так,
was curious.
ну
There
наче
was winter, it
раптом все
was really
ставало,
cold,
таке ж відчуття внутрішнє. І
as if
сонечко це теж там,
everything
коли
was
дуже яскраво там
freeze,
світить
that
сонце,
kind of
коли
internal
хочеться радіти,
feeling, or when
такі
something is very,
почуття
very, the sun is
пропорції
shining
не
so
завжди.
brightly and you
Ось
want to
дуже
be
б хотілося
happy
перебувати в
about
цьому,
things,
але
that
жодного
feeling of
разу це не виставляє.
elevation, you
Тому
want
я не
to
про
be in
це,
that,
а
but
я
it also
постоянно
drains you
спостерігаю ці
off.
два стани,
I
щоб
just
вони
would love
були
to
різними
unite those two
результатами.
states
Мої
for
ці два
them
процеси
to
десь
be
вторинними
evenly
там
spread,
тусувалися.
those two
І
processes of mine,
ось
for
ця
them
зима,
to
якщо вона така
coexist.
вже, знаєш, ну
And
як то кажуть, вагома, і як її я
that
можу
winter,
втиснути тепло в цю зиму,
if it
щоб
is
дійсно відчувати все одно те
as it is,
підвищення, і це сонечко було яскравим там, ну хоча б всередині, то я
that
завжди могла
elevation, that
щось
bright
таке,
sun, at
ну
least
не
on the
вигадати,
inside,
а мабуть згадати,
I
що таке
couldn't
саме
really
це
come
відчуття
up with
бути
anything or
взимку разом,
remember
що це якась
something
спільнота
that
і
gives
якесь таке
the
свято,
same
саме святкування.
feeling at in winter.
Це так,
It's
якщо
really
це про якийсь
about the
контакт,
community and about
про
those
якусь таку єдність, про те, що
celebrations.
ми можемо
And
це
that's truly about that kind of
збережати
contact, but
тепло і
contact with
здобувати
many.
зсередини.
How we
Супер,
can
Катя.
get that true
Дякую.
warmth
Дякую, що
from the
поділилися.
inside.
Прям круто.
Thank you so much for
Збираєте різні
sharing it.
стани.
It is
Знаєте,
really
це
great
важливо, я
about
думаю,
how
частково
those different
цього
states
такого усвідомлення
are.
перебуваю
Yeah,
в
from
їх
that,
стані. Теж колеги пишуть,
those ideas,
що
I am really under the
трошки вони
influence, and
винирюють
I understand that people are
з внутрішнього
slowly
рівня
diving out
сон,
from that
dreaming land.
inner level, from that dreaming land.
Торкнулися чогось і,
But
мабуть,
we
того
touched
суттєвого
something,
зараз.
and maybe something full of senses, full of
Знаєш, ти сказав
essence.
про зиму,
And
і
you
ну, що
spoke
зима
about
закінчилася,
winter
а мені
and to
хочеться
bring something
сказати
to
зараз,
winter.
зиму привнести
And I
в
want to say,
теплий.
Katya, you can now bring that winter
Я навіть про це не
into our
думала.
heat.
Да.
I did not even think about
Тобто
that, but
це
you're
ще
right.
інший процес, розумієш,
So
коли
this
дуже
is
гаряче,
already a
дуже
different
спекотно,
process when everything is
воно
so hot
переноситься з
and
інших
it's burning,
і
and you can
переходить
bring that cold, and it's like that yin,
формує цей ян,
it comes
рівноваження.
to come down to even that yang.
Для мене це про якість бути разом і
For
бути
me, it's
окремо.
about the
І про це
quality of
два
being
важливих
together
процеси, які
and
мають
being
бути.
apart. It's about two important processes that should
Що нам
be,
дуже добре і тепло разом,
because
але
it's
можемо
really nice for us to
втомитися,
be
якщо
together,
буде забагато.
but we can start
Потрібно, да,
pushing
щоб цей
when it's
цикл
too much, when it's
взаємооточення не
overwhelming.
застигав,
And it's important that that
він
cycle of
тривав, щоб
interaction
переходити
does not
з
dry
одного в
out,
інший. Тобто
so that
це є
we
таке
go
життя.
from one to another.
І
And
якщо
this
ми
is
цим
about life.
користувалися і не
And
витрачали
in
ресурс
that
на те,
case,
щоб
we do not need
запихувати
to
щось
hold on to
кілька
that,
сталин,
to hold
ну,
something
то
back,
цей
to hold
Точно.
something down, to let it
Дякую.
go with
Такий важливий
trust.
акцент, що
Yes, thank you so much. That's
зв'язок
an important accent, that
можна
those
легко позбутися, якщо є ця
attachments,
довіра.
we can easily
Буває інших
get
людей.
rid of them if there will be trust, something new might come and it will even it out, even something that was
Зараз просто
before.
ось цей процес, він начебто
Right now, this
зрозумілий, да,
process,
такий
it was
логічний.
sort of
Його проживати ось так
understandable
стало,
and
чогось
logical,
хотіло,
but
чогось.
I've
Зараз
experienced
усвідомила
it
краще, бо
through
в
those
мене є цей досвід
states,
зараз.
through the body, and I have it
я
as
думаю,
experience
діти
now. This is why I support
так
those things to
інші
be
поділилися і
shared,
трансформували
because
щось.
as we've
Це як з
shared
травмою,
them,
це як
we
з
have already
досвідом,
transformed
коли ми
things.
з ними
It's like with
ділимося,
trauma and with
з тим, хто
negative
нас може
experience,
вислухати,
when we share
підтримати,
it with someone who can
і
listen to
потім
us, who can
спробувати, як
support us,
це
and we
трансформується, і воно
receive that feedback, it's
зміцнюється і
getting
зміцнюється
transformed
в
and
залежності від того, хто це
getting
робить.
united, and it goes down or goes
Такий
up, and
просто
we
приклад
see
практичний.
why we need that. It's a very good
Такий
example,
природній,
very
тут з'явився для
practical,
нас, як
very
дарунок
natural
в нашому
for us
полі.
as a gift in this field of ours.
Але ж я розумію, що,
Yes,
мабуть,
but I
такі
also
поле воно
understand that the
напрацьовується зараз,
field
що
itself
хтось вже
is
знає,
also
так,
being
як там
worked
внутрішня робота когось
through,
знайома,
because some people
хтось
know
вже
what the inner work
торкнувся,
is.
да, хтось
Someone
вже
has just
більше на
touched it for the first
терапевтичній
time.
роботі був.
Somebody
Кожен
maybe was here mostly for the
в своєму ступені
practical,
довіри,
for the
да, тому
theoretical
що
part.
це
Everyone has their
безперечно
own level of
на цю
trust.
актуальну здібність час, щоб взяти час
And this is why
проживати
about that
взагалі,
actual
і це
capacity, I
має
need to take
відправитись,
some
щоб
time.
почалося
And
це
we have
протистояння.
the right to be
Потрібно
taking up the
час
time,
належить нам тут.
however
Це
much
наш
time we
спільний
need.
ресурс.
And this is
І
also
нам
about
важливо було, що
resource.
ми просто це як теж
And it was
частина
important for
внутрішньої
us
демократії, теж
as
виявити,
part
що
of that
таке є,
deep
і
democracy to
розуміти, що
identify that
воно
it
теж
is
так
there and it
вагоме,
also
і
has its
приділили
place
увагу,
and
акцент
it
на
has the
цьому,
value,
що
it has the
є
weight,
начебто
and we have
певний
accentuated
спосіб
it
на трошки інший
and
масштаб
we
цього питання.
entered a new
І
scale of
усвідомлення,
it,
і взагалі
of
розуміння,
that
що
consideration and of
навіть
that understanding
сьогодення
of
ми в
what
своєму професійному
is
житті і в
even
особистому житті
today
теж
in private life, in
Супер.
professional life,
Перше, як
both.
сказала, ти
And
кожен
what I have also
прийшов за
said,
своїм, кожен забрав
everyone
своє,
came
оскільки
here
це йому
for
потрібно.
something
І
of
це
their own,
дбають
and they
ставити
took as
ціну.
much
Так?
as they
Так,
need.
це не
And
брати
it's
все
about
за все, що
taking
якщо
care
якщо
about
тобі
oneself,
достатньо, це
about not
слухати.
taking too
Якщо
much.
відчуваєш, що
If
я
I
можу
need
дати
everything,
тільки
I take
якийсь
everything.
шматочок
If
якийсь,
I understand that I can
то
implement
я
only a
буду
part of it,
Вірність, повірність.
Yes, it's about moderation and about trust towards time and towards oneself. Thank you. And those two important messages that I caught, that we've been talking about, but I believe that we need to talk it through once again, that it's like that unity that we feel on that level of presence and that we experience more profoundly as some kind of experience. And the second one, it's about moderation, some kind of balance. Even if we translate it into a language that we know, from positive approach, from positive psychotherapy, from positive, about that unity and diversity in democracy, about that moderation, about that actual, separate actual capacity that was amongst the ones listed, not only as capacity, but as a separate principle taken into work. This is the principle of balance. So we rely on those two main fundamentals. And the other thing that you're saying about unity, that we are now uniting, you're inviting in the field specialists from different approaches, from different dimensions, from different methods. And it's also about unity. It's also about searching for that unity and that balance. And we maybe need to touch an even more profound level to actually feel this unity here. And I remembered about the saying, if the teaching is truthful, then it unites in the united system, in the one system.
Дівчата написали ще от дякую.
Girls wrote thank you in the chat. Very grateful. I am, even when I do not notice myself, a very profound, very interesting. I need some time to consider everything. Thank you for your feedback. Yes. So we managed to make it on time. Even the inner work, it might last very different time. And it's so surprising that we still had not only the resourceful group, an enlarging one, not only the, it was also therapeutic. Thank you so much about that moderation, about that sensitivity. Thank you. About that unity in common movement. Thank you so much, Katyusha. And thank you, colleagues, for your trust, for your openness, for the capability to open up to the new. When we, with those adjustments, when we perceive it. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you for your trust. And let's keep in touch. That experience have united us already.
Це точно. Так, ну що ж, тоді мені ще хочеться подякувати колегам, які теж були дотичні до створення цього заходу. Це Діана Поп, яка теж представляла нам сторону нашої міжнародної спільноти, так, і Соня, яка була твоїм голосом, але на англійській мові.
Дякую, Соня.
Так,
Так,
ми
це, я знаю, це
не
дуже
чули,
важко.
але відчували, да, що там все так само, да, доноситься знаменитності.
Да.
Так, і ми прощаємося лише на місяць, так, бо наша наступна зустріч, вона буде 21 серпня, і як сьогодні виявилося, у нас такий анонс невеличкий, да, що побачимося з Ярославою Кот-Міроновою, яка є засновницею одною з співзасновницею того проєкту Regeneration, і так само представницею підходу процесуальної орієнтованої терапії. Тож, наші зустрічі ще тривають і залишаємося в тому гарному налаштуванні, яке для нас сьогодні Поліна створила.
Так, на все добре, бережіть себе. Дякую.
Дякую. Дякую.
Так.